All right. Unplanned 3-week hiatus, and we're back.
Hey, good morning, afternoon, whatever time you're listening.
Yeah, I'm Liz.
I'm Naomi.
And we're the Run Galloway girls, and we're back.
And it's great to be back. It's been totally unplanned that we would take this much time apart. Like, we haven't seen each other, which is horrible, and we haven't...
Oh, excuse me, I have to open the seltzer.
Get that seltzer open. Pop that can.
Pop the can. Yeah, it was a long time because Naomi was heading out of town for vacation and dreaded, like a week and a half before, started feeling sick. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it was really bad. I was like, no, I can't wreck our vacation. But like, we all kind of recovered. My husband never got it, but the kids and I did.
Awesome.
Had a great, amazing trip. Like, it was fantastic. And then we got back and I got sick again. And like, I was running with Sarah yesterday, who's our resident nurse.
Yeah.
Nurse practitioner. I was like, Sarah, like, do you think I think it was COVID, but I don't know. And she's like, you probably had COVID and you probably had something else.
Or a rebound infection.
Or, possibly.
Or it was just lingering, because that's COVID now. It's not like, granted, there are people still dying. There are people in hospitals still. But for those of us who have been vaccinated, who have had it multiple times, it's just something that you get, but it's not something you shake easily.
And we don't know much about it. So like,
long
it's such a wild card. Like, we don't know. Yeah, it just treats everybody different. And so who knows? But
well, and then one thing can always depress your immune system, which then allows you to be like open for more illnesses. You can hear the dog in the background. But your vacation looked amazing.
It was so good. It was such a nice trip, such a nice like time to just like connect with my family, which was really
quality
great. Quality time, and just like disconnect from everything else, like from work. And I, was off of like my phone, off of devices, which was like really good for me.
Yeah.
So,
and probably good for the family too.
Right.
Like,
off the screens.
Yeah, it seems like you guys did a lot of really fun activities that are kind of out of your wheelhouse too, which is nice. And Scott was able to rent a bike.
He rented a really nice bike. He researched this out way before we left, and I was like, well, can't we get bikes for everyone? He's like, I don't think this place has them. And he was right. I like peeked inside. It looked exactly like the bike lane.
Yeah.
It was so funny because you're on this island that's very like, everything has to be shipped in. It's not like you're in a place where you can get access to anything. It's a tiny island, and yet the store Trisport was like, it was literally like you took the bike lane, just plopped it there on St. Martin, and it had Trek bikes. So he rented like a really nice bike and took
so fun.
Some rides around the island. Yeah,
that is really fun because then he got to do things that he liked to do. You got a couple of short runs in. Yeah. You did stand up paddleboarding. Like, that's just so amazing. And that swimming,
kayaking, we did we did a lot of stuff out in the sun, which was
that is something about going on vacation. And really, when you have a vacation, even if you are in a training plan, take a week and leave your training plan at home when you go on vacation. Plan around it, because vacation is a great time to do things that you normally wouldn't do. So we'll talk about like kind of what I did over those 3 weeks, but I actually just got back from a vacation too. I went on like a little weekend thing to a music festival, which is not my thing. It was fine. It's Brian's thing. It was fine. It was fun. But I was not really feeling myself there. But one of the things that I did was I was like, oh, there's trails that I can run on, like trail running trails. I was like, I'm going to go do that.
I'm so glad you did, because it's such a good way. Like, trail running especially, to me, is like so much more of a connection, or a disconnection, whatever you want to call it, than our regular running.
It is a
great
disconnection.
For where you were and what's been happening. It was a great way for you to like, put it all aside.
During this time, and one of the reasons we didn't see each other when Naomi very first got sick was I was heading into, I had my egg retrieval. I had a 3-day transfer, and that transfer failed. So there's nothing that I could have done differently. I didn't run. I kept my, it just sucks that it happened. And we found out the Thursday while we were in the car driving up to West Virginia. And so, I've gone through a whole gambit of emotions about it. I was sobbing. But the other thing is, from this cycle, we also got 2 embryos, which is the most we've ever gotten from a cycle. So we still have those to test. We still have a path forward. This is just a loss along the way, which is tough because it's really funny. in the whole scheme of things, like before you are pregnant and probably even after, I haven't gotten there yet, so I don't know, you are counting the things that you lose, right? You're counting these losses, but I don't know 5 years down the line, if it all works, how I'm going to feel about that. Do you know what I mean? Like if it works and I end up having a baby,
Right.
like then I went through this IVF process to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not like I lost all this along the way. That was just the journey to get the baby. Now, I do know some people, like, they think of every embryo transfer as a loss, especially if they got a positive pregnancy test. But I knew about 3 days before my beta that it had failed. Like, I just knew.
You just had
like,
a gut
I
feeling
stopped
and-
feeling well. So as part of part of the egg retrieval, they give you a big shot of HCG, which is the pregnancy hormone. And like I have a lot of symptoms from HCG, and now I know that that's HCG symptoms because I was like really on the lookout for them. And when those like tapered off and never came back, I was like, it failed. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so yeah, so because
So
this was
it was like you were pregnant for that little window, and yeah,
well,
in it.
I mean, sort of, because they give that to you before your retrieval.
You're chemically like
Chemically, yes.
given like these, and you're given boosters of like the pregnancy chemicals too.
Yes,
Which, so even
and
if
that's exactly it.
whether or
so
not
like,
it implants.
so like I right after you trigger, you actually test positive on a home pregnancy test for about 12 days, so about 12 days. So as soon as that test went negative, I like started like as I tested out the trigger. And then I kept testing. I was like, I know that it's not coming back at this point. So, I mean,
well, hopefully it's really is just a speed bump along the way. Like really, that's hopefully it's one of those things where you will go back and you'll see it as part of that like journey, and hopefully it's not another blow, which I know it is in the moment. 100% a huge blow.
It definitely like I was a mess. I was a mess on Thursday. I was a little bit better on Friday. So Friday, I go out and I decide, I had like mapped it out on the trails, like, and Brian even walked up to the trailhead with me so that I could find like the trail, which was a mile from where we were staying, which was good because I didn't have to run as far on trail. I only had to do 5 miles on trail instead of 6 because there was a Garmin badge. And I was like, I'm going to get this Garmin badge on Friday. I'm going to get it. And like, that's all that matters. Which is fine. And so I get to the trailhead, and I only packed Saucony Kinvara. And if you've ever run with me, you've seen me just take my shoes out and slip them on. I do not untie them. I do not retie them. I wear my shoes super loose. Super loose Saucony Kinvara are the worst idea on trails ever.
They're bedroom slippers.
And so I am running the first like little section, I would say, like, so it's road for a mile, and then it's 3 miles of like dirt road, which was fine, but it had rained, so it was rocky and rutted, so like lots of water and everything. And then I get to like trail. And I am just slipping all over the place in these shoes.
Oh, no.
I don't even stop to tie them because it doesn't occur to me until I'm like halfway done.
If you tighten them.
That if I tighten my shoes, it would be easier. I'm like, well, I'm just in it now. And so I told Brian, I was like, it's going to take me an hour and a half to run 6 miles. It's going to take me an hour and a half. It took me an hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I get, like, the next day I was like, I'm going to run it again. Even though I'm a little sore, it'll be fine. I tie my shoes tight. I'm road running up there. I'm like, oh, I hate tight shoes. But I was so happy once I got on the trail.
Oh, good.
And it took me, I was faster the second day, which is nuts. But yeah, it was pretty fun. But let me tell you, when you were running trails like that are like rocks and roots every step of the way, you absolutely have to be only present in the moment. So that was probably really, really good for me.
It does seem like that would be the way, I know.
And it had rained, so it was like, I was sinking in places.
Yeah.
Like it was really fun though. But I met 2 runners out there. I like stopped to Instagram to record a video because there's no service. So I record a video, and then I hear these 2 girl runners like chatting and running, and they get a little bit ahead of me, and then I catch up to them. And then I was like, oh, they're just chatting. I'll just join in. So I just ran the rest of the trail with them for like a mile and a half. So it was fun.
Yeah, I know. Like, get that the trail running really breaks up. For me, it was like that was way better when I did my like trail 50K, when I
Mm-hmm.
trained during tax season. That was way better than training for like a road marathon during tax season because of the stress of work. Like, I don't know, trail running just takes you away from it so
Yeah.
much, whereas road running, you still really have to be, it uses more of your brain. Actually, no, trail running uses more of your brain,
Yeah.
because you're like focusing on everything, but you're so present that you're not thinking about things, whereas road running, I'm thinking about a lot of things.
I think trail running could get really difficult though if you started to have goals around trail races.
Around the time.
or around placing. Like,
Yeah.
I could actually see myself get very competitive with it
Right.
because I do not think of myself as a very good trail runner, but I gotta tell you, I was following these two women running straight at ease on a trail, running a 10 flat, and I was like, I took this trail yesterday at this time, I could run it even faster today. Like,
That's awesome.
like with tight shoes. Like, I was like, man,
Yeah,
granted, it was
you
down
brought some
a
trail
hill.
shoes.
Right, I brought
even better.
I didn't even think about it.
No.
I was gonna run up and down the road.
Yeah.
Originally, I was actually gonna drive down, like to a low point on the roads, and then run up and then run down to get it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I mapped out that like I could do this like little trail loop and then take the lift up. Anyway,
It's so fun.
so we're out snowshoe, which Naomi has been to a billion times with her family skiing.
I've
Have
never
you
been in the
guys-
summer.
I was actually thinking it would be an awesome vacation to go like your family and me and Brian up for a summer weekend, because they have mountain biking. They have this super fun like lake blow up bouncy thing.
Yeah.
They have these trampoline things which I had a pass to do but didn't. They have trail running. They have a rock climbing wall.
Yeah.
They have all this really fun summer stuff for families.
Yeah, they have
And it's
like
actually cheap.
the rock climbing. That's a good point. They have the rock climbing wall and like the bouncy and stuff, not on the lake, but the other ones they've had during the winter.
Yeah.
So that's been a big hit for Lila
Yeah.
growing up, and like it'll be great when Julian can go and do those.
Yeah,
too.
so I was actually thinking, I was like, man, we ought to do like a summer weekend away, and
Yeah.
like, because I bet Scott would enjoy mountain biking with Brian.
I'm
there.
not sure if he would do downhill. I don't know if he.
It's super fun.
I don't know if he'll do it. Yeah, but like it's dangerous. He's like
It is really
he
dangerous.
is risk averse. Like I was worried about him biking in St. Martin because the roads are so narrow and the cars go really fast. But they are pretty respectful of bikers
that's good.
and runners. Like when I ran there, I felt like they were pretty respectful, and they move around. They stop for you. It's like
Yeah.
it's nice.
Oh, that's really nice.
because that's one of my favorite things is like I don't know, when I get somewhere new, I wake up that next morning, I just want to go see it on foot, and I just like
Yeah.
So even if I didn't plan to run that week because I wasn't sure how to feel, but I was like, I just woke up and I was like, I have to go run and see the
Well,
place.
you did a really good job like tempering yourself. I think like in years past, you would have been like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to run at least an hour. I'm not going to run less than an hour. I'm not going to, it's going to be at least this distance. And I think you like literally just were like, I'm going to go explore and I'm just going to have fun. Because like that's what it seemed like from your posts and
Yeah.
from your Strava and everything. It's
Oh,
not,
yeah.
it's like you've really embraced like the I'm not in a plan right now and nothing is too little, and
Yeah. That's where it's been like the last 3-4 weeks. And then I've got, this PRP injection coming up on Friday. So
I know
it is so I'm very much like, I'm not on a plan right now. And so I'm not chasing miles at all.
So
it's only running because I want to.
But the best part about not being on a plan is that we can freaking load up some mileage this week and get that 50-mile badge. You're a lot closer than I am, but that was kind of my plan, was like, okay, I ran 12 miles over 2 days. I'm going to take today and just do yoga. I'm going to run Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, until, so that I can kind of like get that badge.
Yeah.
in.
And you can
So
run
that-
for like 2 weeks sort of before you might have to change things again.
So I just don't know how much running I'm going to want to do down at the beach.
Oh, okay.
So we leave for the beach on Sunday, and it's in Outer Banks. I've run up in like Rehoboth Beach.
I've
and
run in the Outer Banks. It's not
I've
bad.
run at different places, like at different beaches, but usually because of the schedule of the beach, it's like you get up late and then it's really hot.
It's really hot and there's no shade.
Yeah, and I just
Yeah.
don't want to get sunburned, and I just don't want to run by myself along a road
In the heat.
In the heat.
No.
And I don't necessarily want to run by myself in the dark along a road. So
No.
it'll
Yeah.
all depend on what everything, how everything is. I
Yeah.
was planning on doing some open water swimming in the
Nice.
ocean. So, like, I'm not afraid to do that. So,
Hopefully there won't be too many jellyfish. I was reading all the race reports from my friends who did like Colonial Beach in Williamsburg, like the try
no.
yesterday, and my one
don't
friend
like
got
jellyfish.
like 100 stings.
oh my gosh.
So like that's again where I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing a try. Maybe
So-
never an open water try.
So,
We'll do a pool
there's-
try.
Yeah. I don't know. I've done, granted, they don't have the nations where you swim in the Potomac. I've done that, and
Yeah.
it's been fine.
Find
But-
one without jellyfish.
Oh, I really hope.
Hopefully there's
there-
not in the
I don't-
Outer Banks. I don't know.
Are
It
there
depends on the time of
jellyfish in the
year.
Atlantic usually?
Yes.
This time of year?
Yeah, that's like so
Oh.
they're down. Yeah, so they're. I know they're.
It's
I've heard they're
gross.
up in like all along the coast. Although I've never experienced them, but I've never swam far enough out. Like, cause I've always grown up on the shore and like
Yeah.
swimming in the ocean,
Ugh.
but never far enough out. Maybe.
I am not excited about this. I'm
Maybe
definitely.
depends how far out you go.
Okay. Well, let's hope.
Something to like, yeah, something to temper the excitement.
Oh my gosh. Well, it'll be fine.
It will still be
I mean,
great.
I have my
The beach.
Peloton app, and we have the beach.
You'll be at the beach. It doesn't matter. Again, like when you're, that's the great thing. When you're on vacation, like do family stuff. That's
Yeah.
go for a hike, go for a walk, whatever.
Yeah.
And
I'll have, and we'll
you
have
know.
Layla and Evie, and
Yeah.
they'll have
Play
so
with the
much
kids
fun.
and-
Yeah. And I actually know where. I take it back. I know where a really great trail is to run on the other side of the highway because
Yeah.
I have done both the Flying Pirate Half Marathon and the Outer Banks Half Marathon,
Yeah.
which are both the halves of the Outer Banks full. So
And it's like a gravel trail, not like a trail, right? Isn't there some part
it's
of
like
it's,
some are some is like gravel, some is like pine straw,
yeah.
and
So
sand.
that'll be great. Like then you can,
but I'll
if you
find
feel
it.
like running.
Exactly. I'm just not going to push it. That's the best thing about not being on a plan. And I mentioned it just earlier. We are kind of obsessed with the Peloton app recently.
yes.
And not necessarily the biking.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like I am so hooked on all the other classes
Yeah.
that I did not think that Peloton, I didn't even know Peloton had. So it's kind of ridiculous that like, yeah, I signed up for the Peloton for the biking after trying it at your house like once.
Yeah.
And then I was like seeing all the strength classes and even like the little guided walking and stuff are fun.
Yeah.
And the yoga.
The meditation, the yoga,
Yeah.
I did a restorative yoga class, which is literally like, I'm going to teach you how to relax.
Nice.
It's so fun. They're like, put a pillow between your legs and roll on your side. Let's lay there for 3 minutes. I was like, this is my kind of yoga.
Yeah.
It was really great.
yeah.
So, yeah, we've been all about the Peloton app. I have devoted my iPad Pro that was my
nice. Your
my Peloton
your-
screen on the go.
That's awesome. I've been
So-
using my screen down my basement with
Yeah.
and with my weights, and you got some weights now.
I got weights. I just ordered some more. So I got 8s, 10s, 15s. I just ordered 20s, 12s, and 5s.
Nice. I need to get some 20s, but I've been mostly using like the 12s and stuff.
Yeah.
I did a little 20-minute arms this morning or this afternoon, and it was crazy intense. I'm gonna get so
Yeah.
jacked. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised a lot of times I end up using the heavier weights the whole time.
Yes.
But there's sometimes, specifically tricep moves, that will like hurt my elbow if I'm like doing them with the heavier weights. Like
Yeah.
I'd rather, or if stuff it's like more reps,
Yeah.
I'd rather just do more reps with light weights. Like,
I've definitely tapered, like gone from the heavier to be like, nope, I'm not, like depending
Yep.
on what the move is. And then some things I'll have like old lady problems. Like the last couple of days, my hand has been hurting. And I'm like, is it arthritis? Is it carpal tunnel? And
Yeah.
so lifting a weight with one of my hands has been a little painful. And like, yeah, old lady problems.
Yay, old lady
Yeah,
problems.
welcome to
But-
the 40s.
But it's been really cool because, you know, we also kind of shared on Instagram that we went after all the June badges
Mm-hmm.
for Garmin, and we are now part of the League of Garmin, which we're really excited about. We'll let you
Yes.
know when we figure out what we get more than a title, but we get the title of being in the League of Garmin, which is so fun.
Yeah.
But as part of that, we just decided to go after the badges that we were already going after anyway.
But it does help motivate. Like I know for this month, I'm nowhere near like for the yoga one yet. I'm like, okay, gotta do that.
Oh,
especially
I'm
once
2.5 hours into
Ooh,
the
nice.
yoga.
So you're on
Ooh,
you're
yeah.
on target. I mean, I know once
I didn't
get
get
the
it
PRP
last year, so
last month.
or last month.
I got it last month, and I got the Gains one, which I noticed I'm still not that. I don't have enough strength yet for the month, but I was on a vacation, so.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna like strength's really gonna be part of like my routine now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be, in, because running running is not going to be, I'm kind of on the thought of like, I am going to do Marine Corps this fall.
Right.
And I penciled in a plan yesterday, and I penciled in 2 different plans, like to talk to Scott about which one he wants to do and how he wants to do his plan. And I'm really going to it's going to be like a pretty low mileage plan with some strength and definitely some like Peloton rides and other stuff mixed in.
I was just about to like put something together because there's a chance that I may be able to run the Marine Corps Marathon. So we don't know our next steps with IVF and everything. We're going to test our embryos. So we're going to spend $4,000. And then it could be that we actually have to like do some treatments before we go into transfer. So that would take me out of even transferring for 2 months, which then it's like, well, if it's going to be 2 months, why wouldn't it be 3? And just let me go get through Marine Corps. So
sure.
So we don't know yet. So there's a chance that I may still run Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do the training and
good.
And, I can cram for a marathon or decide to sit out. I mean, I'm signed up for it, so I might as well do something for it. And, keeping my mileage low and stopping running hasn't gotten me pregnant yet. So
right. That's not what's keeping you from getting pregnant.
Oh my gosh. So. Do you want to know how awful my Garmin is though? Let me tell you.
No.
My Garmin just dropped my VO2 max from 50 to 46 with 3 days off.
Oh,
3 weeks off.
What are your predictors look like though?
My
predictors have gone down every day that I've run.
24:55, which I know I can go faster.
See, that's faster than mine.
Marathon of 4:31:22.
Faster than mine says. Mine says
really?
4:36.
That's crazy. 2:01 half and
getting sick for 2 weeks. I'm like, oh yeah, mine has dropped, and I've also all my runs have been super easy. But
I am productive, which is nice.
I'm maintaining.
I have not been productive. Actually, I was in recovery for a long time. And my HRV is unbalanced. However, it's unbalanced because it has been
going up
40 most nights. No, it's on the low side.
Oh,
but it's like 1 under. My average is 1 under because I have a 34 that's dragging down my 40s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I've also been on progesterone injections for 3 weeks.
So that's the other thing is you can't, you can't tell.
My heart rate went up with the progesterone. So it's just like, I mean, I figure because I'm only literally 1 point below being in my range, I'm like, this is all explainable. Right. There's nothing like obviously if I just say this is the fault of the progesterone, obviously I'm doing everything else right because I didn't tank even further because I've had HRVs as low as 28. So the fact that I'm holding at 40, that's great for me.
Right, totally. Yeah, and mine, I explain it with I was sick, I wasn't running, and then I've also I've been running with a stroller, so it doesn't know that it's with a stroller. So
right.
Or the really slow ones, yesterday I was actually really nervous. So Sarah wanted to get the 10K badge.
Right.
And then Lauren ended up having to drop out because both HB and baby got a little bit sick. I don't know.
Yeah,
she was
apparently baby's not sleeping. She was I didn't want to bother you with it. I was like, Lauren, you can bother me with kid stuff. That is literally my day job.
Yeah.
I am literally, it is my day job.
Yeah.
Is to be literally an expert on helping parents solve problems with their children.
Right.
That's my day job.
Right.
Don't talk to me about how easy it was to get pregnant. Don't complain if you accidentally get pregnant on birth control. Those are things you don't want to talk to me about. But asking me, what do I do? My kid's not sleeping?
Yeah.
That is definitely a question to come to me with, especially if you're willing to actually buy a sleep consultant plan, because I can't help you if you're like, I don't want to spend any money. What can I do?
Right.
Because I got to tell you, if you're really struggling, get a sleep
get
consultant.
Help.
It is so worth it. And I highly recommend Taking Care of Babies on Instagram. She's incredible. I have recommended her courses to multiple parents and they all come back praising me. They're like, that was the best thing I've ever taken. My kid slept the first night afterwards. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay,
that's
she's
awesome.
Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she unfortunately wasn't going to join us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I haven't run a 10K in a month or something. I looked back to see when we ran a couple times. We ran over 6, twice in June. And then we haven't run long since the marathon, right? I was I'm kind of nervous about going long.
We ran a 15K though, since the marathon.
Okay. because there was badge. There was badge.
There was a badge.
So like, yeah, she wanted to get the badge. I was like, okay, we can do this. And so first couple miles, and we were doing 30-30s, and then her heart rate was really high. So we dropped to the 15-30s. It was hot. I felt amazing though. Like,
good.
I was like, oh my God, I could run like 10 miles today. I could run, like, I felt like it could have gone longer. And so I'm so glad that I had that like little spark of like, okay, you're still like a runner just because you haven't run in like 3 weeks or that much in 3 weeks or whatever.
Of course. I mean, that's kind of how I felt. Like, I think it was really good taking all that time from Boston 22 really until we started training. Like, that's a long time, almost a year, not quite a year, but almost a year.
Till what, December, January?
Yeah, I had just started to ramp up in late November, early December when I got COVID.
Right.
So I took, a really long time off.
Right.
I had a sprained ankle in there. I mean, my fitness on Strava really like tanked.
Right.
And then I was able to come back and really start to feel like the runner that I used to be.
Yes.
And so it will come back. And then knowing, like, going out this weekend, knowing like I am absolutely capable of doing, and that's why I told Brian it would take an hour. It might take an hour and a half. Like, don't look for me if it's been longer than an hour and a half, look for me. But I was like 15-minute miles, even on technical trails. Like, I know that I can do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've done Ragnar's in West Virginia. And so I went out and I remember thinking, like, at 30 minutes, like, I still feel good. I can still do this. I had fuel with me. I was did not bring enough water for how hot it was.
Oh, yeah.
But I was able to, like, make it through.
Fill up.
But the coolest thing is I'm not a straight runner, but because it was downhill through the trail and because, like, it was almost easier to, like, bounce over the roots, and I was going slow, my heart rate stayed under control. It was easier to straight run. But I had taken, every time there was like a big uphill in the first section, I took extra walks. So that's why I'm like, I think I posted, it was still a 30-30 average. I still consider that. Right. I like ran the downs and walked the ups.
It's, so. I think it was Emily too, someone posted the other day, if your quote running pace, whatever, is faster than your walking pace, if you go out for a walk, then you're running during this, like, and like, that's great, because that really helps me when my runs are 13 miles or whatever versus a 18-19 minute walking mile, right? Like, it's that's a really good perspective on that. It's funny though, I was thinking while we were running, we're such good training partners, because left by yourself, your run walks get real slow because you're like, I can chill, it's great. Yes. And left to myself, my run walks are real fast. Yeah, so we help
balance each other out, which is funny because I'm actually the one who prefers to go slower. I don't like to work hard.
And I love speed work, but if I'm by myself, I just I go super slow. Like, if I'm doing 30-30s or 15-30s, it's like super, super chill.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. So I guess the point of this whole episode of just us catching back up is have some fun and play with your fitness. I definitely recommend the Peloton app, even if you don't have a Peloton. Yeah. Amanda doesn't have a Peloton. She has a bike, and maybe she has a treadmill, maybe she doesn't, but she has the Peloton app. Yeah. And she uses it so much for $44 a month. It is like the best gym membership.
I've told a few people since I got it, because so some of my coworkers have been like talking about, I'm looking for strength, but like, I don't have this gym, this, that, the other. And I'm like, you should check out that Peloton. Like, I've given them my free code for them to try the Peloton app, because I'm like, you should look, because there are more workouts in there than you would think. Right. More than in some of the other programs where people are like, there's hundreds. I'm like, okay, well, I just filtered down to English only today, and there was 5,000 within like strength.
Well, and what's cool is you can almost get a very similar workout with the same instructor, kind of differently. Yes. Like, I really like JJ. For strength, he's like my favorite, and it's like the same workouts every time, almost. And he's like
a little bit different,
but slightly different. But then you can go back and do the ones that you like multiple times. So like sometimes, or like 2 weeks ago, I did like the same arms and shoulders workout. I did it like on Sunday, and then I did it on Tuesday, and it was nice because then you can see kind of the progressive improvement of doing the same workouts. And he's like, and then I did a different class with him, and it was the same movements, and he's like, He's like, yeah, of course, these are the same movements. I do these movements because they work. Like, he's like, you don't need to do anything else. Like, the
Right.
classics work because they're like classic, like hammer curls and bicep curls and military, and like, I think he called them wide grip press. But they're military
or the
press.
Schwarzenegger one
yeah.
where they come down. That and like I love that there's so much variety because they're doing different classes every day,
Yeah.
so you don't get bored. Like I remember the days of DVDs. And,
Yes.
like you'd actually have, I still have them, like the DVD of the yoga class
my
or whatever,
gosh.
and you have one class that you're taking over and over, the same class.
There is this Kathy Smith dancing like aerobics thing, and I've got to find it on YouTube because it is actually so fun. I used to do it at least twice a week when I was like
Yeah.
in my early 20s.
Yeah.
I should find it because we should dance it out. It was really, really fun. And I'm like partial to Kathy Smith because my mom had a VHS
Yeah.
of Kathy Smith, and that was my first like aerobics video. And I
Workout
used
video.
to do it when I was like 6.
Right.
And I'd be like,
You
I
followed
gotta do
along.
my leg lifts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But yeah, the other great thing about the Peloton classes is they have 5 and 10 minute classes.
Yeah.
And so sometimes getting started can be really hard. And
Right.
you put on a 5-minute class and it's over, and then you're like, I can actually
I can do another
more.
one. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I can do another one. Yeah.
I love that.
Did you see though that Lauren McGreen like shat all over that as
Oh,
being
really?
her pet peeve of Strava? Of like, I don't care that she did 5 minutes of strength, 5 minutes of yoga, 5 minutes, and like I care. If you have your 5, I'm gonna like those all. I'm gonna give you kudos in Strava.
I
have no pet peeve on
actually,
that.
so it depends. Like today I did 2 separate yoga classes. I like started one and I was like, this is too intense. And I switched to
Yeah.
a different one. So I deleted the Peloton ones.
Right.
But I left the yoga that I had recorded on my watch.
Yeah,
It's
for
like
Garmin.
depending on the day, I will leave the Garmin or leave the Peloton one in Strava.
Yeah. A lot of times mine will be longer. The one in Garmin will be longer because
Yeah.
I'll add on. So I'll do my my glutes and stuff. I have to do my like little like clamshells and my fire
Oh, you
hydrants.
gotta take all of
And
the
then I'll-
Pilates classes then.
Okay.
That's all they are, is like glutes. And actually, I'll send you there's this glute, no, it's like all glute bridges. It like killed
Mhm.
me.
So the downside to those is like, yeah, like those will be, you'll do those. There was one I did the other day that was like, it was supposed to be mostly arms, and then, but it said arms and glutes, I think. And I did not realize how many glutes there would be, and like almost like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to like run tomorrow because
Yeah.
my butt's hurting too much. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well these are gonna be good
Oh,
for me long term.
imagine if you were also giving yourself progesterone shots in your butt.
So painful.
It was so painful.
Aw.
When giving yourself having Brian.
Right, in the muscle,
Yeah.
in the butt muscle.
Although
man.
I got used to, I will say I got used to them. They weren't that bad.
Oh, good. Like, because when you have to do it again, it will
Yeah.
be, you'll be ready for the next
Yeah.
round.
Which
like,
is like, ugh.
yeah, yeah.
Part of me just really wants to quit. I gotta say, I'm really like tired, but it's like quitting at mile 24 of a marathon. I feel like
Right.
So.
I was reading
Like, don't bail out at mile 24.
right, exactly. Like you still have fertility. I was
Yeah,
reading
well-
Jennifer Aniston's like, heart wrenching stuff about it, and she's at a point, of course, now
Yeah.
where it's like
it's too late.
she's past it. So it's
Yeah.
like she's like so glad that she tried
Yeah.
through the time that she could physically try.
Yeah,
It's like at
exactly.
50, then you're
Well, and like if you read her stuff, like she said by the time she realized it, she started at 43.
okay.
Which
So
is
she
like,
did start kind of late.
Yeah. So
She looks like you can't
I
tell
mean,
that she's
right.
50 something.
she looks younger than we are.
Yep.
Well,
She's
because
amazing.
so it's so funny. Before you got Peloton, I was actually she just started like
Oh,
repping
yeah.
P-Volve or whatever it is. And I was like, maybe we should get that.
Yeah.
And like I was like doing all this research. I was like,
Keeping her
maybe
so
we should
toned.
get this. Like this looks really good. And then we discovered all this stuff in the Peloton app, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and we had also talked about like just doing like traditional lifting, which I feel like
Yes.
so much in the Peloton app is
Yeah.
as much traditional lifting as you can do with hand weights, which is really, really nice.
It is
So-
really nice because it's accessible because I already had dumbbells. Like I don't need to go buy a bar. And and they are doing very classic moves, like you said.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely getting this will be great. I'm really excited to like get strong
Yeah.
and then start. I'm gonna keep running because I want to, but I also wanted to I want to round myself out.
And running's so much fun, and
Yes.
and biking can be so much of the cardio. Like I'm actually kind of excited to see how fast you can run Marine Corps on kind of a low mileage plan.
Me too.
But but still
a lot of
high cardio plan.
And a lot of strength. I'm very curious to see how much strength and strength and biking can fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
And then I think what I'll need to do is when I was sketching out plans yesterday, and I was kind of looking at different options because I have a very short window. I don't know how long I'll have to stop running for with the PRP injection, but I don't think I'll be running until
3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be running until mid-August.
Yeah,
which means that when I get to running, I'll be jumping back up to pretty high mileage.
So to get me across the Boston finish line, I think 5 weeks before I ran 13 miles 6 weeks before, and then 17 miles, and then 22 miles, and then the marathon.
Did you have back-to-back weekends, or?
No, I think I took a weekend in between.
So yeah,
it was pretty easy. It was pretty great.
I'm looking at
I think I did 9 or 10 miles in between. I'll have to look at what I did.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure that I am going to be able to run Marine Corps. I don't know. I don't know anything, but I'm going to plan to run it.
Right. Yeah. And so I was looking at still doing some, mile repeats so that I could still get some speed in.
I wouldn't even worry about it.
But,
I would do progression runs instead.
Or, well, one or the other, but I just mean instead of, because I was debating you could go, 16 and then, down week and then 18 down week, whatever, a traditional plan.
Yeah.
Or you could do the 3 week cycles with the, 1 of 3 being slow, a slow long, which I would probably have to top out at 22 at this point. I won't get to 29.
I would try to get up to 24 3 weeks before, because that'll make the marathon seem so much
24.
easier, just because Marine Corps is, or even if you can hit 26 3 weeks before.
Yeah.
Marine Corps is so hard in the last couple miles that if you can be certain that you can do the distance, it Marine Corps is made for the Galloway plan, because it's so, the last few miles of Marine Corps are so hard, and if you're I have already suffered through this before, I can do it.
Right. All that concrete. I'm also excited to because I haven't raced Marine Corps, then maybe my very first marathon, consider that racing, because I went out way too fast, as we've talked about before. And I finished in 4:23, and every other time I've run it, this will be my 5-timer club one. Yay. My other times, when I started out super conservative, I finished strong.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see about starting really conservative.
Yeah.
And is there a chance I could beat that 4:23? That would be pretty cool.
I know that you absolutely can. I actually have a plan for Marine Corps that I really think people should follow for trying to get a good time.
We should post it.
Okay, so here's the plan, you guys. It is a 7-mile warm-up, so nice and conservative for 7 miles. The best half marathon in all of running, and I truly believe that.
Yeah. It's a great course in the middle.
The middle of Marine Corps. And then 7 miles of chill out and coast on home.
Yeah.
Or 6, whatever it is.
Right.
Because then it's you basically recover on the bridge, take your victory lap through Crystal City, and then just chill out and cool down on your way to the finish line.
Yeah.
And so that is how I recommend people run Marine Corps. You want to run a balls out middle half marathon.
Which is the way that you should run most marathons. You should start with a 7-mile warm up.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
But I'm talking about really going
the
for it
to run
in the
fast
middle.
In the middle.
Just go for it in the middle, because it's gonna get hot and hard later, and you can. And then think of that bridge as your recovery, that 14th Street Bridge as a recovery, and then you'll probably still have something in the tank if you did marathon training.
Some training.
Yeah, if you actually trained for a marathon, to be able to kind of coast through those last 6 miles or 5 miles. So that is my suggestion. It's kind of a weird way to run, because who clicks their watch over and is all right, time for a fast half marathon in the middle of a marathon where they're still gonna have a couple miles to go.
So go at the end after.
But it's kind of a fun way to break it up, you know? Rather than trying to build. I just think that planning on running your very best at the last 5 miles.
It's not realistic.
It's hard, although Aaron did it. So.
That's true. It's just not realistic. The bridge beats you down, and Crystal City even beats you down.
Because it's full sun too. And
yeah.
I mean, granted, I say this every year because it's been hot the last 30 years. We are due for a cold year. We are due for a cold Marine Corps.
I don't know. Global warming. Didn't we just have the hottest week on record. So,
Well,
yay, ever.
no, but not here.
Right. Just globally.
Just globally. It doesn't
fine.
matter.
It's not
We're
DC
talking about
warming.
here.
It's
Right.
global warming.
Right. We were talking about like, well, do you think, Brian and I were like, do you think we'll do snow stuff? He's like, not around here. We're
Like,
never
will
getting
we
snow
have
around
snow?
here.
I know.
Well, no, like we've never got, he loves to snowboard. We've never gone skiing or snowboarding together because we haven't had any snow around here. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Well,
and it's
snowshoe
like,
does.
oh, it's not worth to, well, but snowshoe's such a long drive.
It is,
for-
but it's a long drive, but it's the best that you can get without going on a plane. Like, it really, for around here, there's nothing. So.
Yeah. So, although, I mean.
Or like a good, really long drive up to Vermont. I guess you don't have to
Right.
fly, but it's a long drive.
Yeah.
It's a really long drive.
I mean, hopefully we'll do some snow stuff at some point because it
Yeah.
would be fun. But so we hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. There was something that somebody asked me to cover. Oh, running on the trail. Some women asked me to cover on the podcast gut training.
Ooh, yes.
Because, so this is something that we listen to on Swap.
Yes.
And I think that we really kind of put it into practice with ourselves for Mountains to Beach. So many women, specifically women, really talk about during long runs how they can't eat, they get nauseous, they get digestive upset.
Yeah.
And I think that we should talk about tools to use and how to gut train, because there's two medical tools that we use when we run, or that we use during Mountains to Beach, and one of them is Imodium. The other was Zofran, and
Yeah.
you didn't get nauseous.
I didn't get nauseous.
Which is amazing. So those are two things that...
And it's also eating more, though. And that was what I did differently, too. I ate
Right.
more gels.
But also the gut training heading into it, we
Right.
did a lot of work on fueling. And so most people, if you're training and you get to a point where you're feeling like you can't take in fuel, it's probably because you waited too long. If you feel like there's certain fuels that don't agree with you, it's because you're not fueling enough. If you're developing new food sensitivities in your everyday life, you are underfueled. And that is a hard realization. You're like, but I'm finally XYZ because I know this. I finally can wear these tiny pants again, yet all of a sudden I can't tolerate my favorite things that I've been eating, or my favorite things to eat. That's like prime underfueling. So anytime you start to feel like, well, I just can't tolerate that anymore, you got to step back and start looking at the whole picture. So
yeah, I think we still have such, women especially still have so far to go to like fix all the damage that's been done culturally with, with female bodies and then eating. And so like, I see it all the time. I see, women who are still constantly dieting and they still aren't realizing and putting together that by eating less, you're training your body to use less. Your body will hang on to more calories in order to, it's biologically, you're damaging your system to where the weight will actually come on more, not come off. And so,
and you won't be able to achieve your goals as like greatly as you want to if you're underfueled. Sure, probably you're going to be great up to about an hour. You might even be able to rock a half marathon, right? Hour and a half, 2 hours ish. You're going to fall apart at the longer distances. And I see it over and over and over again. Leaner women who are fast at short distances and do not fuel, they suck when the distances go over 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, I would say that even at my leanest, like I was always good at fueling during running, and that's kind of what set me apart, because I was always able to get the food down during running for some reason.
Yeah.
Probably because
candy.
I like candy.
It's candy. I loved on Swap when they were talking about, that David's thinking about trying out or going and doing Western States next year. And she says, Megan says, cool, well, we're going to gut train. I'm going to make you eat a cheeseburger and go out for a run immediately after.
Oh, God, he is not going to be able to do that.
No, but, like, that's so key, especially, well, obviously with ultras, you do need to eat during. But even with just, just our everyday running, we need to be fueling before. And that's something that, like, I still forget and I still get bad about, fueling before the run in addition to during. And, like, you know.
The Nature's Bakery, and I
the
feel
cookies.
the Nature's Bakery
Big bars.
cookies have been such a Band-Aid for me in the, I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to
Right.
eat. I'm like, oh, this is enough to eat. This is a great Band-Aid. I need to get a little more diversified because that should not be all I eat at times. But they're so easy. I'm like, oh, this works.
Yeah.
You know, so I need to get a little bit better about that. But what was really cool, so at Snowshoe, they have MAC, which is like the Mountain Adventure Center where you buy your bike park ticket. And they had Cliff shot blocks. So that's because I didn't bring any fuel because I didn't bring any trail shoes.
Really think about it.
Because I was like, I brought a water bottle.
Good.
And so I got the salted watermelon Cliff shot blocks, and they were just fine.
That's good.
You know,
yeah.
and it was just like, oh, this is great. Like, I can take any fuel. And like, I was out with the women, and they're like, oh, look at you. Because I was like, they're like, oh, what's your podcast about? And I said, well, it's about, you know, it's pretty much a chat with your girlfriends, and we talk a lot about fueling, and we talk a lot about eating, and talk a lot about like body positivity and acceptance, and anyone can be a runner. And they were like, we really need to know, like, we need to practice that, you know. And we get to like the end of like the single track trail, and we're on like, you know, kind of a wider trail and running together, and they're like, oh, look at you, you're even fueling right now, and we're almost at the end. And I was like, well, I'm not fueling for the run, I'm fueling for the rest of my day.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, when you think about fueling, you're not fueling for those 3 miles that you just ran. You're fueling for the rest of your day. You're fueling for tomorrow. You're fueling for muscle recovery.
Yes.
And so if you can wrap your head around you're fueling for the whole picture, that there's nothing in isolation, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Think about, like, right?
And it's not like there's days, just because, you know, today I ran so much, I'm going to go eat so much. Like, no, like, you really need to be
just all the time.
All the time, yeah. Like, it doesn't need to be tied to, like,
on
the fact that you have activity the next day. Or
now,
like,
on
whatever.
those big run days, like, there have been some studies that even if you eat enough overall, if you're not getting enough on those big run days, you can have some of the same symptoms as being underfueled. So it is important to get like a post-run nutrition in and to get more in. And that's where we've started, or we've done the protein shakes as the drink you drink with your meal.
Yes.
Because it's a way to get something in, or a protein shake immediately, or sodas. We've talked about that. You know, your body can process and tolerate a lot more sugar right after activity because the engine is nice and hot. Then it can tolerate the same soda, you know, if you've been sedentary for 5 days in a row. So when the engine is burning, give it fuel the fire.
Fuel on it. And when you get home from your run, even if you're gonna go do your weights, I've been doing this too lately. Sometimes I'm like, I should go do my strength right away. I'm like, no, I'm gonna eat because I know I need to eat right now.
Yeah.
Then I'll go do my strength. It's okay. Like, you can have that little break in between. It's not gonna, like, as long as you don't mind that you might either go shower and then get sweaty again, or you stay in your sweaty clothes until you do your rehab stuff that you need to do.
Or you take your cookies down there
and go work out.
That's where
with
the
your
cookies are a great
That's true.
thing. Those Nature's Bakery cookies, because they're not too sweet. So, like, they're so good. Sometimes I get to the second one and I'm like, I wish there was a third.
We went through so many on our trip because, like, Lila discovered them too. Because we're at the pool all day, we're at the beach all day, and she's like, you know, starts to get that hunger, that hanger, and she's like, what do you have? And it's like, oh, here, some, you know, cookies.
Yeah.
And she's like devouring those. So.
Oh, I'm so glad she's found food she likes.
I know, it's still so tough to feed this kid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's tough. She's on ADHD medication.
Even she hasn't been in like the last month.
Oh.
We were trying a new med and we stopped like over the trip. We didn't take it. So she's not on anything and she still doesn't eat. So we're like, okay, so it's not the meds.
Oh, well, that's good to know. It is just her habits.
Yeah, so we need to break those.
Yeah, so that should make it even easier then.
Yes.
Be like, oh, no, these are just habits we have to change.
Exactly.
So.
Eat more, eat enough. Eat enough always.
Yeah. Eat too much sometimes. Eat not enough never.
Yep. Yes, and thank you, David and Megan, for that one.
Yes, we love that one. Well, we are actually going to go and take Lila to her track practice and do some yoga. I don't know if I can handle an hour of yoga, but we're going to do some yoga.
We'll do 30 minutes or something.
I do still have weights in my car. We do some strength. Oh, you said that you already lifted
I'll do
today.
more.
Well, you can't.
I'm all about the gains.
But all right, so that's the trick. That's the problem. So with your strength, if you're going to get on this Peloton thing, because you can be like, oh, I want to do more. I want to do more.
Yeah.
Because it's super fun. It's almost like gamified. So it's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember to put a day between your strength
For
muscle
the same
groups.
Right.
I find that it's best to do a whole body lift and then a yoga day and then a whole body lift and then a yoga day, because otherwise I'm like trying to pick something and I'm like, damn, I lifted glutes yesterday.
Right.
Or like I did Pilates and then I did strength in the same day and that was like way too much glutes. Oh, we can do some Pilates.
Yeah.
I've been logging Pilates as strength while I'm chasing
to get the Garmin badge. Yeah, I think you have
and
to.
then I log Pilates as Pilates once the badge is over.
you got gamify it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a Pilates badge, although there are Pilates badges too, but they're not time based. They're not like
they're not monthly. The monthly ones.
So, all right. Well, hopefully we will be back with another episode this week as well on Wednesday, and then maybe we'll record one that we can publish the following week. And
hopefully get back on track.
So that we don't just have a 3-week lull and then we get back to spotty recording. But we'll see you soon, and thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye. Bye.